All right, so let's get started, STEM Coven, with day one of mystical practices for your logical life. And the first practice that I want to cover, because it's kind of like the basis for a lot of the other kind of mystical work that I do, is that I want to cover intuition. So, as logical women, like most of us spend most of the day up in our brain, right? Our brain is in the driver's seat, and our brain tells us what to do, tells us what's right and wrong, and our brain can also be like a huge bully. Like, the brain's job is to keep us alive. So that means that it'll always lean towards like telling us how awful we are so we don't reach the big goals, because it's kind of like scared of change. And also, if we go after those really big goals, we can face other discomforts like fear or failure. So a lot of times our brains like kind of keep us from going after our dreams, tries to keep us safe, keep us in what's familiar. But if you listen really carefully, there's another voice in there. Like, there's another voice that's going on inside of you. The one that tells you to like go for things. The one that tells you when things are aligned that will like work for your life and work with you. And it'll tell you when to take the chance. It's like the one that feels like freedom is your intuition. So if you follow your intuition, that'll absolutely change your life. And like, you might be a little bit skeptical, right? And maybe even questioning, like, is intuition even really a thing? And I want to offer that intuition is absolutely a thing. And maybe you prefer calling it like your inner knowing or a gut feeling, whatever you want to call it. It's absolutely real. It's you talking to your higher self, your own higher self. But in our culture, we are like deeply trained to value the logical mind over the intuitive mind, like the rational mind over the intuitive, over the soul. We value science over spirit. And so much so that like the spirit options kind of get erased and ignored. And not saying that we shouldn't have science and we shouldn't have logic. These things have to exist together. Um, and, in the past, it wasn't always the case, right? In indigenous cultures, intuition and the spirit world were a lot more respected and revered. And only in more modern times did we kind of like make this flip over to over prioritizing the rational and the logical. So, when we have to make decisions quickly or when we're looking for like guidance from our own selves, this is where intuition can really come into play. And I think maybe there's like a misconception about not being intuitive. Like, we're not intuitive at all. And my intuitive teacher, Lindsay Mack, definitely says that like intuition is your birthright. It is always there and it's always there to support you. So, it's kind of like she describes it as two radio stations. Like, the FM is your brain and the AM is your intuition. And the brain is like totally much louder than the intuition and is playing all the popular songs. Like, this is what we're used to operating on. But the AM station, you just have to kind of like tune into it in order to realize that it's there and be able to kind of access that within ourselves. And it might take a little bit of practice, right? It might take a little bit of rewilding to get back in touch with our intuition, because our brain is wired in a certain way to like hear the voice that we're used to hearing. And once we start questioning that and just listening for the quieter voice, that's when we can get back in touch with the intuitive part of ourselves. So I just wanted to share a practice that I like to do to kind of like get in touch with my intuition. And your intuition can manifest in a bunch of different ways. So there is absolutely no wrong way to like listen to your inner voice, to your higher self. But I'll just share with you the way that I do it. So some folks hear things, some folks like see pictures. For others, it's like a physical sensation in your body, your intuition. And none of that is wrong. It's all correct. So you just kind of have to be like aware of what's going on in your body and open to whatever experience comes up for you. So the exercise that I like to do, just like a really basic thing, is to sit comfortably in a quiet place. Like, close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, and tell your brain that it's safe and that it's okay to like go in the back seat for a little while, so that way you can connect with your intuition. And the way that I like to visualize this is like there's a control panel, which is your brain, and there's like a little puppy behind there that's your brain, like your ego. And you're gonna tell the puppy to go for a nap, so that way you can like calm down and chill out, and you can reconnect with your intuition. So put the puppy down for a nap and start to listen. And what I like to start with is the question, what do I need to know right now? And then just be open to absolutely whatever comes up. And a couple of ways that you'll know it's your intuition and not like your brain just telling you something else is the brain is pretty loud, right? So if what's coming through sounds like shouting or it's shaming you or bullying you, that's your brain. That's not really your intuition. In the body, the information from the brain can feel like contraction or tightness. From the brain. From intuition, it feels more open, more free, more flowing. So, and brain is like coming up. Just keep reassuring it, like it's okay. You can take a break now. So just notice what's coming up. Notice how you receive the information and what you're feeling in your body. That's your own specific brand of magic, which is amazing to find. And intuition isn't linear, so it'll give you a clear answer to your question, but it's the answer that you need. So just be open to whatever is coming up for you. And do this practice every once in a while, and just see what's coming up. Really tap into that space where you can like give your brain a rest for a little while and just be open to receiving messages from yourself, from your intuition. I think that doing this really changed my life, and it's a huge part of my personal development practice. Like when I'm journaling, when I'm asking myself questions, if the answer is coming from brain only, that can really send me off on the wrong track. So, and it does like to produce answers based on fear, based on ego, and your intuition can give a whole new perspective. So I'd love for you to let me know how this goes if you're trying it. Definitely leave me a message and tell me what you're hearing from your intuition. All right.